It's now time for the Lee County Yellow Jackets Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. We now take you to Keith Womack, your host for tonight's program.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm Keith Womack, and I'll be your host tonight as we discuss the Yellow Jackets' most recent game with Hoke County, as well as our upcoming game this Thursday night with the Pinecrest Patriots. Our Coaches Show every week are brought to you by some great sponsors, and we'd like to thank Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, and Brick Capital Video. These sponsors will bring you our Coaches Show every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock on 105.5 WFJA. And, of course, we'll rebroadcast it again 1 hour prior to game time. It'll be 6:30 this Thursday night prior to our 7:30 kickoff. We're going to take a short break and hear from some of our great sponsors. We'll be right back with head coach Steve Bordeaux right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix-It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And we'd like to welcome everybody back to the Lee County Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. And, Coach, first off, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Get to talk a little football.
Well, Coach, it's been a couple of weeks since we've played some football. And, of course, last week, Jackets had a bye week. Let's talk a little bit about how you prepare for that or what you do during that bye week. Did you give your guys a little extra time off, or did you guys try to get in some extra reps this week?
So maybe a little bit of both. We didn't have a practice on the Friday. We didn't have a game, so we let the boys have that day off. And we actually went and a lot of us went and supported Coach Jacobs and Middle Creek as they dominated the team they played. So we got that, and we got a whole lot of reps throughout the week. The boys did well, kind of preparing for us. Fix some things that we saw, and just make sure we continue to get better for this little stretch run.
Well, Coach, you got plenty of film to look at now and kind of analyze or evaluate your team. And so I'm sure those are some of the things that now that you kind of caught your breath. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but it also gives the guys a chance to kind of recoup from some of those little nagging injuries. Maybe something that hadn't kept them out, but just things they needed to heal.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good time to have a bye week. We played 6 games already. We got 4 more games in the regular season, hopefully a lot of games after that, but it kind of breaks up the regular season. So it kind of like the way our bye week fell. It was kind of scheduled that way, and hopefully we can keep it in that similar situation in the future. But the JV team, so the bye week for varsity, JV still did play on Thursday, and they come up with a 34-0 win, our first shutout with JV against C4. So I was really proud of seeing those guys get after it.
Well, congratulations to the JV squad. And, of course, Coach, there was a little action that happened a week ago Friday night where the Lee County Yellow Jackets hosted the Bucks out of, I want to say Lumberton, but Hoke County. And, of course, with a 34-6 victory, of course, the Jackets remain unbeaten so far in the Sand Hills 3A, 4A conference. 34-6, 3 defensive scores in that game.
Yeah, it was an outstanding game, I felt, defensively. With the exception of one player, 2 plays, we really, I thought, did a good job of getting off the field. Obviously, creating turnovers and getting points is great, but the other times we're giving ourselves a short field for the offense and setting up our special teams in good situations. So really proud of how the defense played.
Well, Coach Mark Schlesinger, 2 pick sixes. Not 1, but 2. An outstanding defensive game. I'm sure we'll hear more about him as the accolades go out a little later. But what a great defensive game by Schlesinger.
Yeah, he's showing up all over the field. Mark had the 2 pick sixes and a lot of tackles, and shoot, he threw a touchdown. So he was all over the field on that Friday.
Well, Coach, nice job rushing the ball. Ended up with just under, I guess, for the totals of B.J. Brown, just under 60 yards. T.J. Johnson with 30, Kendall Morris with 53, Schlesinger with 21. So plenty of rushing as the Jackets 26 attempts, 168 yards on the night.
Yeah, another week where we got a lot of guys touching the ball, keeping a lot of guys fresh, and fresh legs, fast legs, and us gaining yards. The averages right there look pretty good.
Well, and Coach Will Patterson, by my count, 75% passing, 12 of 16 on the night, 109 yards. Jackets altogether were 15 of 19, 124. Just some of those receiving yards. Tyrique McKinley with 6 catches. Nice game by him, 56 yards. Kenyon Palmer with 19. B.J. Brown with 5 catches for 43 coming out of the backfield. Looks like your balance between running and passing is really coming along for you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the guys that we have, and they're so multiple to do different things, whether it's BJ coming out of backfield or some of the other guys that come out of there, they can be receivers, and that keeps us pretty dynamic. And then having Eli, Tyrique, and Kenyon with all the other receivers that we can spread it around to, and with some quarterbacks that can sling it around, and Will and Mark, it really helps us be a pretty spread out offense. Not necessarily a spread offense, but we can spread the ball around.
Well, Coach, the Jackets go to 5-1 on the season, so congratulations on that. But a big game coming up this Thursday night. We now can report to everybody that the game has been moved at Pinecrest to Thursday night as opposed to Friday, so we want to make sure we're clear on that. We'll also post it on our website on 105.5 WFJA. But, Coach, as we look into last week's results, we know Richmond County was playing Hope County. Big game there, 47-14. Richmond County gets the victory. Kind of unusual, but Union Pines at Scotland got postponed, and Union Pines was able to pick up the game against Anston County to stay active, and but they did lose that one 20-14. Pinecrest really just put it all over the Cavaliers of Southern Lee 47-3, and of course the Yellow Jackets were idle. So that's kind of what happened around the conference last week. And, of course, tonight we'll talk about in just a moment, or actually Thursday night, Lee County will be at Pinecrest. This week, Hope County on Friday night, unless it changes, will be at Southern Lee. Richmond County will be at Union Pines, and Scotland County will be idle. And we'll make sure, again, on our sports webpage, on WFJA, we'll update any changes that we see coming along. As we learn about these different things. It's always a moving target right now with the COVID and now the weather, but we will keep you updated on our website. Coach, just real quick, would like to talk a little bit about a segment on getting to know the Yellow Jackets. We've talked about a lot of different areas of your football team with the offensive side and the defensive side. We've talked about your coaching staff. Tonight we're going to go a little different route as we talk about the support staff. We know we've got Dr. McConville, who serves as, what is his official
title? Team doctor.
Team doctor. Yeah. You've got Steve Womack, a Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
That is your trainer. But there's a lot of volunteers out there. Let's talk about those guys a little bit and what their responsibilities are for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, so we have a group of, and sometimes it ends up being some JV guys that really volunteer to their Friday nights. It starts out with the guys ends up being our ball boys, Kentrell White, and we can't do anything without that. If we don't have a guy that's going to give us hustle, pay attention to the game, be locked in, and be there, Kentrell's done an outstanding job with that, as well as going to be an outstanding football player for us. And we have a rotation of guys that do a good job for us. We have end zone guys that film for us. Avery Lowry is one. Devin Richmond's helped us film. Alonzo Hernandez, Sam Benton, and Anthony Battle are guys that go up top and do the press box angle. Jack Martin's another one. So we have a whole herd of kids. It's never a problem to find kids to come help on Thursdays and Friday nights, and I think that's a great thing to be able to say, because there's been a lot of times that you got to find people to come do this, and we have guys that want to do it and enjoy doing it because they know it's very important.
And then, Coach, you also have some managers on the team.
Yeah, we have a great group of girls that help Coach Womack. Mentioning Coach Womack. Coach Womack is as good as it gets. He's been around and making it happen. And really thankful for all he does, and he really keeps those managers getting us watered up or whatever needs to go, and those girls do an outstanding job for us on Thursdays and Friday nights.
Well, that is our quick segment on getting to know the Yellow Jackets. A lot of the support staff, very important to the Yellow Jacket coaching staff, I'm sure. So thank you for lending us that information. We're going to take a short break to hear from some of our great sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back once again to the Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. I'm your host, Keith Womack. And Coach, we talked about the game that we played 2 weeks ago, big game coming up tonight, but we've got some really high-quality play that came out of that Hope County game. We want to talk about those a little bit. And, of course, the Norman Financial offensive and defensive players of the game. And they're selected by John and I immediately after the game while it's fresh on our minds. And, of course, Coach, we had a really great output by one of our wide receivers for our offensive player of the game. You do the honors.
Yeah, so Tyrique Mckinley was the offensive player of the game against Hoke, and I really feel like he did a little bit all over the field. So definitely well deserved to be an offensive player. He had around 60 yards receiving. Had a couple decent returns and had a touchdown, along with making a couple plays on defense. He actually created the long turnover that TJ picked up and scored. It's like a 91-yard touchdown, but Tyrique's the one that hits the quarterback and forces the fumble. So Tyrique was all over the field, but well-deserved offensive player of the game.
Yeah, very well. Could have been a defensive player of the game as well. Speaking of defense, an outstanding performance. You heard us talk about him just a few minutes ago. Early in the show, and that was Mr. 2 pick six man, Mark Schlesinger.
Yeah, so Mark kind of the same way. Mark did it on both sides of the ball too on Friday night. He had the 2 pick sixes and making a couple tackles for a loss. Mark's all over the field on defense, long snapping for us on special teams, and has come in and scored a touchdown, his first career passing touchdown on varsity in the game. Actually threw it to Tyrique. So both of these guys could be co-offense and defense together.
Well, a great job, and not too bad for our backup quarterback.
Yeah, not too bad. He's a stud.
All right, and then, of course, thanks again to our special sponsor, the Norman Financial Group, for awarding our offensive and defensive players of the game. And, of course, we have another great sponsor who is our Wilkinson Chevrolet player of the game, and that is picked by the coaches and the coaching staff. And, Coach, I'll let you do the honors on that as well.
Yeah, I like it every week when it's really tough to make this decision. There were several guys we considered for sure, but Mark was the coach's pick for the player of the game. Running 2 touchdowns back on defense, causing a couple big tackles for loss, coming in on offense, having a couple good rushes, throwing a touchdown. You can't ask for too much more. Really proud of how Mark stepped up, and we expect him to always do it when his number's called.
And, of course, Mark's name will be enshrined on this beautiful trophy that at the end of the season will be in the trophy case over at the high school. The thing I love about the idea that Wilkinson Chevrolet came up with, and John, is the fact that these guys will be able to come back, bring their kids one day and say, look, see, I was pretty darn good in
yes,
football.
Sir.
So congratulations to Tyrique Mckinley and Mark Schlesinger for our Norman Financial players of the game. And then, of course, the overall player of the game, Mark Schlesinger, Coach. I'm sure you're proud of all of them.
Yeah, definitely. So great kids that do it in the classroom too. They're definitely what it means. They know what it means to be a Jacket.
Well, Coach, I know we're real excited. From this point, we know that the rest of the season is going to be tough.
Oh, yeah.
But we like tough. It's always fun to see exciting games. The remainder of our conference schedule, the quality of opponents. I know that these games, you're looking at them one at a time. But how prepared is Lee County for what we're going to see over the next 4 weeks and hopefully into the playoffs?
Yeah, shoot, I sure hope we are prepared, because there's some really good football teams starting out with Pinecrest. They're an outstandingly coached football team. They have huge numbers. I feel like they've got 60-plus kids dressed on JV varsity, and they got a freshman team, so they're doing all the things right in that way. They have, I think 18 starters back from last year. So Pinecrest is a really good football team. It will be our next, I guess, really big test.
And Pinecrest is a 4A opponent. About 2,400 students enrolled. In fact, they've got 63 players on their roster. Over half of their roster are seniors. And, Coach, they really had Richmond County, considered one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the state in 4A, on the ropes last week before they fell apart kind of there at the end. So they're definitely a very good ball team.
Without a doubt, their schedule so far, I think you can match up anybody in the state and say Pinecrest has had as tough of a schedule. They played Grimsley, the state champion from last year, Roseville, a runner-up, and they played Richmond County and a couple other teams too. Not to discount them, but that's 3 really top-end teams that they've played already. Hopefully we can be in that mix.
Well, speaking of Pinecrest, we know they're big. We know they're going to be physical. Probably not the best passing offense. I hate to say that, but just from what we've seen on film, but big, physical, and love to run the ball.
Yeah, definitely, and it all goes with being a really good defensive team. If you're a really good defensive team and you can pound the ball, you might not have to even pass it. But their quarterback's capable of making some big plays, and they've had some big plays in the passing game. They scored a couple of their touchdowns against Richmond through the air, but they are a team that will just sit there and kind of grind on you. And we try to wear you down up front because they had those big boys. And defensively, they're really good. It all starts up front with them. Their defensive line has really made a lot of their plays all season. We got to make sure we can contain them big boys up front.
And, Coach, I agree. When you're good defensively, if your offense doesn't get off to a fast start, you don't panic because you know the defense is going to keep you in the game and give you time. What will we see from the Patriots? Let's start on the offensive side Thursday night.
They're going to come downhill, and whether they're pulling somebody and trying to get up on linebackers, their goal is to physically move people up front out the way, and just like I said, just kind of wear you out, grind you down, get the 3, 4, 5, 6 yard carries early, and then they end up busting some runs later, and they sprinkle in the little play action passes. And that's when they've had some success. They called a couple teams throughout the last few weeks on some big pass plays. They're not one that's just going to try to just pass it, 35 times in the game, but their 12 to 15 passes will all be big opportunities.
Coach, when the Jackets are on offense and we're going out there against that Patriot defense, you talked about some of the size and how good they are. Tell us what we can expect out of the Patriot defense.
Yeah, so I feel like they're a team that their schemes fit perfectly on offense and defense. They do a really good job of preventing big plays. The secondary is very sound. They don't give up a whole lot of big things. They do a good job of swarming to the football. And there's going to be 2 or 3 guys at contact every time. They don't take plays off, is what I noticed when I watched their film. And again, defensively, their defensive line are the guys that make a lot of things happen.
Is there anything we can expect from them? We understand they have an outstanding kicker.
Yeah. Their kicker is really good. He made about a 48 or 49-yard field goal at some point earlier in the season I saw, and he can punt it about 50 yards, and he can put it in about the back of the end zone. So he's a special teams weapon. He's definitely a guy that can move it around. And on special teams, they definitely work on it. They've had huge kickoff returns in several of their games. They have 2 guys in the back that when they touch it, they can be very dangerous. So we got to make sure we're running down and covering that thing.
Makes our kicking game a little more strategic.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we're kicking off a lot Thursday night.
Yeah, I hope Kennedy's getting a lot of work on the field goal, PATs, and kickoff for sure.
Well, Coach, we talked about it just a little bit off the air, but so the Yellow Jackets able to recover from some of the little nicks and bruises that we've seen so far through the first 6 games of the season?
Yeah, I feel like so. I feel like we got to make it through one more day before we get to Thursday. But everybody was supposed to be practicing was practicing today, and I hope to same thing tomorrow. And we'll get them loaded up on a bus and headed down to Pinecrest. I really know.
Well, Coach, and we want to remind everybody that game will be played on Thursday. night instead of Friday, so make sure you get your tickets. Anywhere specific they need to go to get their tickets?
Yeah, so for JV and varsity, it's going to be on GoFan. You can go on GoFan, type in Lee County, they'll be up and ready.
All right, well, thank you, Coach. We're going to take another short break and hear from our Coaches Show sponsors. We'll be back right after these messages.
Coaches Show sponsors: Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Fix It Plumbing, Jones Printing Company, Brick Capital Video.
And welcome back once again to the Lee County Yellow Jacket Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux. And, of course, Coach, first of all, we'd like to thank you for coming in tonight and discussing a little Yellow Jacket football with us.
Yes, sir. It seems like it's been a while. I'm glad we got to do it.
It does. I would like to remind you to join us on 105.5 WFJA this Thursday night at 6:30 prior to our game at 7:30. Of course, it will be on Thursday night, so make sure you make plans to head down to Southern Pines to watch the Yellow Jackets take on Pinecrest. Our coaches show will be posted on the WFJA website and the WFJA Facebook page by Wednesday at noon, and we invite you to watch and share this week's show. We hope you will take these opportunities to join us this season on the only radio station to bring you Yellow Jacket football live as it happens. We also remind you to check out the WFJA website, go to sports, then high school football, and you'll see a choice of pages to include our results page with complete game articles posted by midnight after each game. The conference standings, power rankings, schedules for all the teams in the Sandhills 3A, 4A, and up-to-date season stats for your Lee County Yellow Jackets. Just a reminder that the Steve Bordeaux Coaches Show next week will air on Wednesday night at our regular 7 o'clock time due to the Cavaliers playing against Richmond County, I believe, next Tuesday. So the Coaches Show will be next Wednesday, not Tuesday. Best of luck to Lee County as they take on the Pinecrest Patriots this Friday night. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for bringing you the show tonight. Of course, they include Wilkinson Chevrolet, Domino's, Farm Bureau of Tramway, Sheriff Tracy Carter, Jones Printing Company, Fix It Plumbing, and, of course, our good friends at Brick Capital Video. And we thank you for listening to WFJA Sports. So let's get ready, Yellow Jacket fans. It's time for Yellow Jacket football.
You've been listening to the Lee County Yellow Jackets Coaches Show with head coach Steve Bordeaux and show host Keith Womack. On behalf of all the Coaches Show sponsors, we thank you for listening to tonight's program. This has been a production of WFJA and WWGP Sports.